Hello everyone, welcome back to Soccer Showdown. Joe Archino here with Martino Puccio. And we start out with some breaking news. Claudio Ranieri has been sacked by Leicester City Football Club. And Martino, I think this comes as to a really surprising move by many of us. What's your initial thoughts of the move?
I think it's one of the most ridiculous things that has happened in sports. 5,000 to 1 odds for them to win the Premier League last year. They do it. Yesterday was the anniversary of the Miracle on Ice, one of the biggest events in sports history. Last year, Leicester City winning the Premier League, one of the biggest moments in sports history as well. But yet, 9 months later, they decide to sack him. It doesn't make sense. I'll even give you a list of the managers that have won the Premier League the past 5 seasons. Roberto Mancini, Sir Alex Ferguson, Manuel Pellegrini, Jose Mourinho, and Ranieri. All 5 of those managers are not managing those clubs now, but yet a guy like Arsene Wenger still managing Arsenal. So I think it's really dumbfounding, especially they only came off a 2-1 loss in the Champions League to Sevilla. They got the away goal. It wasn't that big of a deal. They're in the relegation zone, but they're still not one of the bottom 3 teams that would get relegated as of today. So it really doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Well, we do have the Leicester City jersey out on the table kind of as a tribute to Claudio Ranieri because I do think, like you said, this was a title that is one of the most significant achievements in professional sports history. Beating the odds 5,000 to 1 and winning that league, the most competitive league in European football, is something we will never see replicated again. So a little bit of tribute there, but we'll go to the Champions, like you said. For people who follow the Champions League, who understand how aggregate and things of that nature work, getting a road goal means everything. That means Leicester City will now go back to the King Power Stadium with a chance to win in front of their fans and beat Sevilla to advance. Now, they haven't done very well in the Premier League this season, but in the Champions League, they've been at their best. So I'll ask you, Martino, there were a couple of reasons why the club said that they sacked Ranieri, one of them being they're in the relegation battle in the Premier League. But how could you argue with the results that they've given in the Champions League?
I don't really know how you can. I think you look back a year ago and you say, hey, if Leicester City was to advance out of the group stage in the Champions League, you'd be thrilled. And they did exactly that, but yet they still sack them. So it doesn't really make sense. Like you say, an away goal is so important, especially in a score of 2-1. So it's not that bad. So you come back home, you give yourselves a fighter's chance to advance to the the quarterfinals, which would be an even bigger achievement for a club like that, considering how a team like Arsenal got smacked 5-1 against Bayern. So it's really dumbfounding on how they would fire him after this. It really doesn't make any sense at all.
Let's move on a little bit. We've saluted Claudio Ranieri enough, of course. But I think now we go to Manchester City. Manchester City pulls off a 5-3 to win against AS Monaco at the Etihad. And Martino, it's kind of been the same story we know for Manchester City. They get it done behind the youth. The defense looks very shaky, but can the youth override the shaky defense? I mean, Pep Guardiola has been so adamant about how much he has enjoyed seeing these young players. Obviously, Leroy Sané has a big game. John Stones nets a goal. Raheem Sterling puts City on the board first. What do you think?
I think it was a good result considering they won by 2. Yeah, they gave up 3 away goals. That's a big boo-boo most of the time. But I think they can survive just for the simple fact that they did score 5. I mean, Monaco, they're going to have to score 2 goals just to tie it. If Man City gets that 1 goal first to score first away at Monaco, I think it's huge. I think that gives them a 3-goal lead right there, and it pretty much has Monaco in the back mirror. I don't think it'll be a problem for them, but I think it's good that they're young because they don't really understand the whole pressure of playing in a big Champions League match like that.
Well, Juventus certainly understands the pressure, and they had a big win against Porto, 2-0 in the Champions League in their first leg in the round of 16. And Martino, obviously, we've talked about it how many times on the show. Juventus has Serie A under lock and key. It's their title. It's their league. But right now, this is a competition where they've put a lot of money in the offseason into winning it. Right now, they beat Porto 2-0, but they do it behind a 10-man squad. And then Bonucci was not able to go in this one for disciplinary reasons. So I'll ask you what everyone is asking. Can Juve win the Champions League, and do you make anything out of this whole rife between Allegri and Bonucci at the moment?
Well, to start off with your first question, I think they do have a shot, especially considering that Barcelona looks like they're on the way out of the Champions League. Now, the fact that they did only score 2 goals against a 10-man squad is a little alarming, but not at the same time. I mean, Allegri made the 2 important substitutions when Marco Piacca scored the goal 5 minutes after being subbed on. Dani Alves scored 2 minutes after he was being subbed on. So he's using his players right. They have the right amount of depth. They spent the money, like you said, with Higuain. They have the depth as well after Bonucci got pretty much sat by Allegri after disciplinary issues. And to your point, asking the question about the disciplinary issues is you can't have one of your top players like Bonucci acting out against your boss and having, like all these battles publicly, especially publicly. I mean, you would like to keep it behind doors. But the fact that it was publicly kind of speaks to the fact that Juve needs to set the example. Allegri needs to set the example. Because if your top player is one of your top players is getting away with stuff like that, then that means everyone's going to get away with stuff like that. So I think it was a good idea for him to get benched. They won the game. They move on. They go back to Torino to go and close it out to survive and advance to the next round.
Well, Allegri has said that they have resolved those issues. It's been put to rest, so we will certainly see. But another club that has a big win, Atletico Madrid 4-2 over Bayer Leverkusen. And Martino, you brought up Barcelona for a minute, which I think is a great one because obviously with them perhaps being out of this competition very soon, that opens up the door for a lot of people. Atletico Madrid, one of them. Now, it hasn't been a perfect season for Atletico. They have struggled in La Liga, but this is a club who has made 2 finals appearances in this competition in the last 4 years. So I'll ask you, with Barcelona potentially out soon, can Atletico return to the final?
I mean, we talk about it all the time, how difficult it is to just repeat in the Champions League. Just to get back to the final 2 years in a row is probably just as difficult. And the fact that they've had issues this past season, that not everyone's playing the best as they think they can. I mean, that was a draining loss in that Champions League final to Madrid. So I think they have a shot to get back to the final, but I just don't see it happening. I think it's too tall of a task for them to accomplish.
Well, we'll move on now a little bit to the English Premier League, and you wouldn't be doing yourself a favor if you didn't talk Man United when you got to that point. So we're going to start off with, of course, Wayne Rooney. Right now, it has been a roller coaster ride with all of the news coming out about Wayne Rooney. Basically, we'll create a timeline for you because that's what we do here on Soccer Showdown. We're going to start off with Jose Mourinho basically saying that he can't guarantee Wayne Rooney is going to be with Man United by March 1st. Kind of odd that he would go out of his way to specifically say something like that. Then you have reports that Wayne Rooney's agent goes to China to meet with the Chinese Super League clubs who are apparently offering him about $3 million a month to play for one of their clubs. Obviously, it's not the same level of competition as it is in Europe. And then you have today Wayne Rooney coming out and basically saying that due to all the recent rumors, he felt he had to come out and talk. He said he's not going anywhere. But I don't think it's totally convinced everyone, Martino. Can you see perhaps him leaving in the summer? Maybe not now, but in the summer.
It really depends because we've seen all these players lately moving to China for all this amazing cash money deals. I mean, look, if you or I were given a deal like that, we would take it in a heartbeat. But Rooney means something totally different to Man United. He's one of the greatest players that has ever played for them. It's kind of hard to imagine now him playing anywhere else in the world. But then again, money talks. But do I see him leaving? No, I don't see him leaving, and I think it was important for him to put these rumors to rest because they're in the middle of a race to get to the Champions League or even just win the Europa League or whatever competition you want to have them competing in. But I think the important thing was that he came out, he said, look, I'm not going. If anything, we'll deal with this in the summer. That's okay to deal with it in the summer, but for now, to put the rumors to rest, I think it's something that will come up in the summer, but I just can't see it happening.
Well, let's return now to Leicester City. And, it's funny enough, before the show even started, we had this segment planned. But now with Ranieri being sacked, we kind of change things a little bit. But, again, we'll go back now. Leicester City faces a major, major problem right now. They are in danger of being relegated. They find themselves in 17th place, just above relegation. Hull City is right behind them with 18. And then Leicester City is right above them, basically, by 1 point. So I'll ask you, Martino, it seems now without Ranieri, they're in even more of danger of being relegated. Will they survive? Will Leicester City avoid relegation without their manager?
Well, we talk about this often in sports of troops rallying around together after, who knows, like I guess you could make an example for the Marlins after they lost Jose Fernandez, would be an example how they rallied together and they were just playing for pride at the end of the season. I think that's what they have to play for now because they'd probably be the first team probably in soccer history, I mean across in European history, to win their league and get relegated the next season. Do they want to be the first team to do that? No, I don't think they want to make that great of history 2 years in a row. So I think they're going to be playing for pride. I don't think they'll allow themselves, especially playing so much pride after winning 5,000 to 1 odds to be losers like this, to get relegated, to go in the second division like that again. I think pride will carry them at least above the relegation zone. I just can't see that happening.
Well, we kind of round things out now with two more topics on the slate. We'll kick it off with Pep Guardiola saying that Barcelona is still the world's best despite its 4-1 loss to PSG in the Champions League. And obviously, Martino, Pep has been one of the big orchestrators. He won 2 Champions League titles with Barcelona. The list speaks for itself. Is he right? Is Barcelona still the best in the world despite the loss to PSG?
I think it's kind of a stretch pushing it. Yes, they have one of the best talents in the world with Messi, Suarez, Neymar, but a team consists of 11 players. And I just don't think the best team in the world should be losing 4-0. It doesn't matter if it's your rival, the worst team in the league, a good team, another good team in Europe, Paris Saint-Germain. You shouldn't be losing 4-0. If you're the best team in the world, you should have a great defense, great midfield, great offense. And obviously, they don't have a great defense. You don't give up 4 goals by having a great defense. Do I think they can get back to their winning ways like they were with Pep? Yes, if they make the right purchases. But as of right now, Real Madrid are the defending Champions League winners, and they're playing better than them. Although they did lose this week, they're still the better team, in my opinion.
Well, we kind of continue with Barcelona because they have a gigantic opportunity in front of them this weekend as they take on Atletico Madrid. Real Madrid slips up this week, which means that Barcelona can take first place if they can secure a win against Atletico Madrid. But Martino, we've seen such an inconsistent Barcelona as of late. Which Barca will we see today? The one that can take first place or the one that's really had that inconsistency?
I think all it comes down to is the greatest player in the world, and it's Leo Messi. It's all on him. I mean, there's been reports that they're saying he's frustrated with Luis Enrique and the formations that they're in and the positions they're putting him in order to succeed. But at the end of the day, if you're the greatest player in the world, which I think he is, he should come out and play. This is a big game like this. This is a statement game. You got to go to Atletico. You got to win this game. Forget about a tie. Forget about just picking up the point where you got it. Real Madrid just lost this week. If you want to back up Pep's words saying you're the best team in the world, you go in and you go win. And you go win this game at Atletico Madrid. So I think Messi's going to show up because that's what the greatest players do. They show up at the biggest stages, and I think this is a big stage for him.
You never bet against the great ones when the moment matters most. Thank you for listening to Soccer Showdown, everyone. Joe Archino here with Martino Puccio. We will be back soon. And one more thing, long live King Ranieri and his achievement at Leicester City Football Club.